Okay, this is going to be part of a series where I give psychological tools that you can use. Um, I learned these psychological tools from books, adjusted them, or created them myself. I still use all these tools and I have used them to become profitable, and I think they are of value. And if you want to use them, they will definitely help you in your psychology. Before we start, I have a free psychology Discord. In there, I send my own tools, I send my reviews. I can give feedback on your own reviews or on your own tools. Um, right now, it's free. Eventually, I will look into a paid version of it because I want to do some one-on-one coaching, but I'm still looking on a step-by-step plan on how to do that in that most effective way. It's not going to be signals or anything technical. We talk about a strategy in there, but it's mostly psychology based. Okay, let's get to it. What we're gonna do, if you hear me stutter or talk bad English, by the way, I'm Dutch and I just record these videos in one go because I don't like editing them and make me sound like a robot. Um, the first tool is gonna be the mental hand of history, and the second one is gonna be mapping emotions. Before this, the people who were at the webinar, they made an A to C game. This is like the second part of it. I make a video on A to C game probably next week. Real quick for the people who have not seen that, A to C game is like a reflection tool on where your A game is your best game and your C game is your worst game, purely based on execution and emotion, so not money wise or profit wise. If you want to learn more on that, check out the webinar or join the Discord. Okay, let's start with the mental hand of history. Well, the mental hand of history is something we use to discover the root of our trading problems. Um, the trading problems we have don't come out of nowhere. Nobody is normally they're like rooted in subconscious beliefs or emotional triggers from past experience. And as you might expect, most trading mistakes are created by not being able to manage emotions effectively. However, simply recognizing this isn't enough. We need to go to like a deeper level and find the true root of the cause of these emotional reactions. A lot of traders just rush this process and think like, yeah, I know what my problems is and I'm gonna work on it, but they never really get to the deep point, and that makes it really hard to make lasting improvements. So you gotta be really honest with yourself. Um, we're going to do this in 5 steps. And this is going to be about trading mistakes with emotions behind them. So I'm going to take you through the steps while we use an example. And the example I'm going to use is fear for today because that was my biggest problem. So I can talk about that the most easy, to be honest. Okay, so step one is describe your problem in detail. Be specific about your issue. What happens when you trade? What are your thoughts, emotions, and behavior that you see? So, for example, before entries, I always hesitate. I want to wait for an extra confirmation, like a bigger rejection from the zone. If I do, it feels more safe, but my entry is worse, which results in me taking a worse risk to reward or leaving the trade. Okay, step two, explain why it makes sense that you have this problem. This is a crucial step. Instead of like blaming yourself, explore in your thoughts or mind why you react this way. What are like underlying beliefs, fears, past experience, or other things that make this issue or create this issue. So I do this to avoid losses, or I used to do this to avoid losses. When I lose, it feels like I'm failing and I start questioning my abilities and my system. It triggers fears and thoughts like, does my strategy even work? Or what if I keep losing? Or things like, does trading gonna work out? Am I gonna make enough money with trading? So I feel a lot of pressure to win, and every trade proves to me that I'm a good trader or not. And it gives me a feeling of fear. So this is where the fear comes in. Okay, step three, explain why this logic is flawed. The logic in step two. Um, challenge the reasoning behind your emotions. So, um, is your fear or hesitation truly justified, or is it just a stupid belief? Belief is it based on irrational thinking, things like that. So, for example, losses are part of normal trading. Even the best traders take losses regularly. A single loss doesn't define my skill or effectiveness of the strategy. My edge plays out over series of trades, not just one. Following my strategy is more important than wins or losses. To be honest, that last sentence might be better in step five if I read this, but we'll get to that. Um, Step 4, come up with a correction that flaws this logic. So, replace the flawed belief with a rational and like constructive is the right word, I think, mindset. So a right trader's mindset. So a thought process that would you help trade more effectively, you could say. So for example, I need to shift my mindset from avoiding losses to executing well. Losses with proper risk management are simply a cost of trading. My job is not to avoid losses, but to follow my strategy consistently. And this is a really important sentence for everyone with fear. Realizing this changed my mind. Okay, step 5, explain why that correction is correct. So you're just gonna convince yourself that your problem is bullshit. So, like, make your belief stronger, reinforce it with a new perspective, and make sure you align it with the truths of trading. For example, Mark Douglas in the Trading in the Zone has 5 truths of trading. If you read that, you could use one of those 2 truths. If you want to know the truths, I talked about them in the webinar, I think. I'm not sure. But okay, the example is a profitable strategy is designed to handle losses. The real danger isn't taking a loss, it's skipping trades that are valid. This way, I won't be able to carry out my edge in the markets. The only thing that truly matters is disciplined execution. I think this sentence is so important for so many traders. I see a lot of traders reflect the on if they had a win or a loss, but it's not the win or loss that matters, it's the execution that matters. So I would rather take a loss that is valid than take a win that's invalid. That's how you have to change your mind. Okay, I hope that's clear. That's the mental hand of history. I will be dropping the document from it in the Discord. It's with like the steps described and what you have to do. Okay, the next one is going to be mapping emotions. Um, Okay, I had to restart because my laptop was almost empty. Okay, we're at mapping in emotions now. That's the second part of this video and the second tool. Okay, so how do we do it? What is it? Well, the name says it. We're gonna map our emotions. But I got a 2-step plan on how to do this and how to use it. So we're gonna do this to create awareness of our emotions and stop them before they take over. So step 1, for the next few weeks, we're going to keep track of how we feel based on emotions like fear or greed and how it impacts your trading. So, as I said, next few weeks. So it's going to take a while, especially when you don't have a lot of trades. But yeah, changing your psychology is not something that happens in 2 weeks, not in 3 weeks, not even in a month. I think it takes like 2 or 3 months to get like the real good psychology. You will notice the difference before, but after 3 months, you might be actually getting there. But we're going to track a few things. Um, I call them patterns, maybe fear patterns, if we use fear. Your thoughts, the emotions you experience, things you say out loud, actions you take, changes in your decision making process on the markets, and shifts in your perception of the markets, opportunities, or trades you're in, and also trading mistakes that are caused by fear or greed. That are the 2 examples I mostly use. We're going to do this by just getting a notebook during your sessions and just writing down whatever you feel, your thoughts, things I just mentioned. If you use A to C game, you should already be doing this. So for the people who watch the webinar, if you aren't doing this yet, you should really start. Okay, I got some questions prepared that could guide your observations. Um, what situations typically trigger fear or other strong emotions? How does your body physically react? At what point does fear shift from being helpful to becoming a problem? And what are the earliest warning signs that fear is interfering with your trading? Because it doesn't go from 1 to 100 in like a second. There are a lot of early signs, and we'll discuss that in a bit. I got some signs for you prepared too, like hesitation, heart rate going up, analysis, uh, damn, doubt about your analysis, and second guessing yourself, talking yourself out of valid trades. Okay, so I think that's a pretty clear signs. Um, Triggers of fear-driven mistakes. I also got some examples on that because you also want to be identifying those, and you can also use those for the mental hand of history. But most common, fear of losing money, realizing you made a mistake, thinking don't mess this up, over focusing on positions or a position you got open, seeing a negative profit or loss on the month or on the week or on the day, depending on how you trade. And we're going to track these things. So all the things I just mentioned and more things, but these are just examples, you're going to track them. That's going to be step one. Okay, step two. We're going to rank them, but we got two ways of ranking them. We got technical mistakes and we got mental mistakes. Um, really short, technical mistakes are decisions like removing your stop loss, removing TP, things like that. So the things you actually do in the market. And mental mistakes are your thoughts, your emotions, the self-talk you use. Okay, so we're gonna rank them by severity. So where one represents like nothing or not really bad, and 10 is like extreme emotions, so really bad. Um, okay, I got an example on that. Okay, so this is emotional fear, this part. So as you can see, this is like my actual example on how I used to trade, and my old one, the new one is a little bit different because you're gonna update them. So for emotional, I have slight doubt about before a trade, so I set up that depths, and before the session I would say, yeah, this is valid. Uh, that's level one. We got level one till 10. You don't have to put like a thing at every level because that's going to be impossible. But yeah, you want to have something in there because these are just signs. So, for example, 3, heart rate going up. 4, asking other people's opinions on the trade. Thinking of reasons why I should not take the trade. Strong urge to avoid the trade to avoid a loss. Too much fear, can't think clearly. So this is an emotional part. And right now, the thing is, if you create this, when my heart rate goes up, and I'm aware of this because I read this a lot, I know like, okay, my heart rate is going up, fear is kicking in. What do I need to do now? And I got some other tools on how to like lower that fear, but being aware of it is a big step already. Okay, then we got our technical fear. Checking if my trade is valid more than I need it. This is something I keep doing. So when a trade is closed and for example, I just had a loss or something like that, I keep checking the trade like 3 times in a row to see if it's actually valid. And to be honest, it's not that bad, but I'm aware of that. That's fair, but I shouldn't go higher than that level. Okay, so the next one, looking at my accounts of profits and calculating the loss. So like, oh, if I take this loss, how much profit do I have left? Moving stop loss to break even too quick. So my rule is stop loss at break even at 1 to 2.5. And for example, when it starts rejecting at 1 to 2.4, I will move my stop loss to break even. And you might say, oh, that's not that big of a mistake, but it is because it's money focused, because you want to secure that you're not going to have a loss, even though you don't do that in backtesting. And we should be trading like you backtest and only be focused on execution, and that's money focused. Okay, closing a trade too early to log in profits. A lot of people do this. Waiting for more confirmation on the entry. That's what I also explained in the mental hand of history, and skipping a valid trade. As you can see, these are all like actions, and these are like emotional things and thoughts. So you rank them 1 to 10. Um, and this way you can be aware of what happens before it actually happens. Um, so after you rank this, you can ask yourself like what triggers these thoughts and emotions. And a really important thing is, where do I draw the line? So you don't want to get to 10 like ever. That's really bad. You want to stop trading. I stop trading when I'm at a 5. If I notice that I move the stop loss to break even too quick, I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm fucking done for the day, because you're trading on an emotional level and not on a strategical level where you should be trading. So you gotta make a clear rule for yourself. Like, if I notice this, I have to stop trading. You can be really strict and say 3 or 4, but for me, my heart rate going up, that happens almost every trade, because you're always gonna be a little bit nervous, but realizing that makes me think like, okay, it's fair. I gotta calm down. I know what I'm doing. I've done this 100 times. I gotta keep doing what I'm doing. So using a little bit of self-talk to calm yourself down. So yeah, so what now? It's the last one. You're gonna be creating this. It's gonna take a while to like get in detail, but you can always like find mistakes already because you know your most common mistakes. And you gotta be honest with yourself, but don't be too hard on yourself. You cannot say on level one a crucial mistake already, because you don't want to be stopping trading at level one, because you're always gonna have emotions. Well, we're human, it's normal. But it's important that you become aware of these emotions and don't let them impact your trading. because I know as a trader, I used to always have fear, and I think I'm gonna have that fear forever. Maybe if I trade 5 years and I'm fucking confident, I don't have that fear anymore, but it feels like I'm gonna have that forever. But as long as I can manage it and not let it impact my decision making or my trading, it's fine. Okay, yeah, that's it. If it's not clear, let me know. I will make a more in-depth video or will help people who don't understand it. Again, I got the Discord with psychology knowledge. I got my weekly, daily, monthly reviews in there. I got a format on how to do these reviews. I got webinars and I'm looking into one-on-one coaching, as I said. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, like, leave a comment, whatever. And yeah, that's it for today.